And then here it says the ovary model. By the ovary model, guys, I'm talking about this model. Jeffrey, I think that you have to come this way. Definitely I cannot move it to show you guys, but you can come here. I will show you again, or you can watch Jeffrey's videos. So this is what I call it the ovary model. So we have to see some structures here. So you guys know that the ovary ovary consists of two major parts. The inner part, the central part of the ovary is called medulla, and the outer part where you have the
cortex,
where you have the follicles, is called cortex, right? So here I asked you about the cortex and medulla. Cortex is this part that you can see the follicles. Medulla is in the center here where you have the blood vessels. Do you see the blood vessels? So the blood vessels and nerve are located in the center of the ovary, and this central part of the ovary is called medulla. On the sides where you have the follicles, we call it cortex. Everybody's with me?
Yeah.
Cortex and medulla. And then the other thing that we can see here is the mature follicle. Guys, do you remember mature follicle? Yadav, do you remember mature follicle? What is mature follicle?
After the secondary oocyte.
The mature follicle is the largest one, which contains at first primary oocyte and then secondary oocyte, and it's ready for the ovulation, right? So this one here is the mature follicle, and the whitish structure here is the oocyte, the secondary oocyte. So here you can see the ovulation. It shows you the ovulation. So this structure is the mature follicle. This is the secondary oocyte, and the process is called ovulation. And then after the ovulation, you guys know that the remnant of the mature follicle converts to the yellowish structure that we call corpus luteum. If pregnancy happens, it will stay here for 3 months until you have the placenta. Otherwise, it will die and it converts to the corpus albicans. This is the corpus albicans. So they are in order. Mature follicle. This is the ovulation. After the ovulation, corpus luteum, corpus albicans.
So ovulation is the whole circle over here?
I will ask you about the process. If I want to ask you about the ovulation, I say that what's happening in here. You will tell me ovulation. Otherwise, if I put a pointer here, I mean the mature follicle. And then you have the slide of the uterus, guys. The slide of the uterus is over there. The things that I want you to find in the slide of the uterus is the picture that you have on page 653. Yes, the figure 39.10 is the picture of the slide that you have there in the middle one. The middle microscope shows you this picture. That's exactly the same thing that you have here. So make sure that you are able to find the layers that you have here. The layer on the bottom is called myometrium, and just next to it you have the endometrium. So all the way here you have the endometrium. The deeper part of the endometrium here is called stratum basale, which is the which is responsible for the repair. And then on the top you have a stratum functionalis, which is the layer which will be shed during the menstruation, right? And these are the glands that you have in the endometrium. So in the test, if I put the pointer here, I mean myometrium. If I put a pointer somewhere here in the middle and ask you about the entire layer, Yadav, I mean endometrium. If I put it on the bottom just next to the myometrium here and ask you about the layer, that would be a stratum basalis. If I put it on the top and ask you about the layer, that would be a stratum functionalis. This slide is good one. We have it over there under the microscope, in the middle microscope. But the slide that we have for the ovary is supposed to be this one on page 652, figure 39.9 on the top. It's going to be this one, but that's not. It doesn't show any of the follicles. I hate that guy because it doesn't show you any follicles. And that's the only one that we have here, unfortunately.
You don't have a slide.
I want you to know this picture that you have here. So I may ask you about the different types of the follicles as you have it in the list, right? In the list we have the, you have to know the cortex. The cortex is the part which has this follicle. Medulla is the middle part. And then you have to know the different types of the follicles here. So the smallest one here where it says number 9 are primordial follicle, and this is the primary follicle, number 11, and number 12, the whole thing is the secondary follicle. This is the mature follicle. So if I want to ask you about the types of the follicle, I have to ask you on these pictures because the slide that we have is horrible. And that's all about the female reproductive system.